In 1984, the classic movie Ghostbusters was released. Then in 1986, there was an animated TV series called The Real Ghostbusters for fans to enjoy further adventures with their beloved characters Peter, Egon, Winston, and Ray. The show also included their secretary Janine, and even Slimer was a regular, a friendly ghost who became like a pet that lived in the firehouse. Now I'll repeat that this show started in 1986, which is obviously before the movie Ghostbusters 2 was released in 1989, and the movie Ghostbusters 2 ignored the events of this animated series. But just how closely did this animated series stay in continuity with the first movie? Well, that's what I'd like to talk about. In the first season's episode number 10, titled Take 2, we see the Ghostbusters visit Hollywood. They learn that a movie is being made about them. When asking to know the names of the actors playing them, Winston reads out loud,
Murray, Aykroyd, and Raymond?
Wow! So this means that in the world of the animated series, the classic movie we all know is a movie! Interesting! This episode even ends with the Ghostbusters going to a premiere of the movie, and we see the tiniest bit of footage from the actual movie. And no, I don't know why it's flickering like that. It even ends with a joke that as soon as Peter sees an image of Bill Murray, he says,
You know, he doesn't look a thing like me.
Ironically, the very next episode to air, number 11 titled Citizen Ghost, seemed to be in strong continuity with the movie. Peter is a flashback of the Ghostbusters returning to the firehouse right after the events of when the first movie ended. We see the building still damaged as it was in the movie. We see the characters wearing the same uniforms as they wore in the movies, with the pieces of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man splattered all over them, and we even hear Peter say this was just after they defeated Gozer. Egon says that they should get rid of the uniforms because
they absorbed a frightening amount of psychokinetic energy during our battle with Gozer. They'll have to be destroyed.
And Janine just happens to have received new uniforms in the mail, different colored uniforms, as we saw through the rest of the series. It was great to have an explanation for why they wore different uniforms in this series. Later in the episode, Slimer finds his way to the firehouse, and Peter immediately recognizes him and says,
It's him! It's the one who slimed me at the hotel! Get him!
Another reference to the movie! This episode goes on to show that old uniforms come to life as ghost versions of themselves which they have to battle. It's fun stuff, but it's not really relevant to the show's connection to the movie. So the big question here is, was this show, or was it not, in direct continuity with the movie? Episode Take 2 seemed to suggest it was not, and then Citizen Ghost seemed to suggest it was. My answer is, I don't really care. It's a fictional cartoon for kids. It's just supposed to be fun, and I thought it was. Anyway, I should also mention that in 1997, years after the series ended, there was another animated series called Extreme Ghostbusters, which was a follow-up to this series in direct continuity. The basic story was that Egon taught a course in paranormal studies at a fictional college in New York, and he only had 4 students, named Eduardo Rivera, Roland Jackson, Garrett Miller, and Kylie Griffin. When ghosts started terrorizing the city again, these students became the new generation of Ghostbusters, with Egon serving as their mentor. Anyway, before I end this video, there's one big question which many viewers would probably like me to answer. What are my thoughts on the upcoming Ghostbusters reboot? Well, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm not excited about it. My reasons for lack of excitement are not because the next generation is all female, but because the movie is a total reboot. I would have preferred to see a sequel continue the saga, not a reboot start things from scratch. For example, I'm also a fan of Star Wars and Luke Skywalker. I saw the new movie The Force Awakens, and now I'm super excited to watch Luke train Rey and see her become a Jedi. Does it bother me that Rey is a woman? No, not at all. I'm perfectly open to seeing a female Jedi continue the Star Wars saga. But I wouldn't have liked it if the series was completely rebooted, regardless if the Jedi was male or female. Much the same way, I would have been really excited to see Peter, Winston, and Ray pass the torch to these same young actresses. But to see the story start from scratch, in a world where there have never been Ghostbusters, simply doesn't excite me. And what's really strange is that having many of the original cast members Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, Sigourney Weaver do cameos in the new movie, but as completely different characters. I just find that to be a waste of opportunity. If you can get all these great actors involved, then why ignore the great story? Anyway, the movie could turn out to be good or bad, but these are my personal reasons for why I won't pay to see it. I'm a fan of the original movies and the animated series, which this reboot has no connection to. Now you're free to agree or disagree with me. Please leave your comments below, let me know, and please hit subscribe.